Michelle Prince, founder and CEO of Performance Publishing Group, making a difference one story at a time. We'll be shining the light on successful founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders that are getting results and making a difference. We'll talk about how they built their businesses, are creating movements, and leveraging the power of authority in their own lives. Be sure to stick around to the end of the show, and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Power of Authority Spotlight, where we shine the light on successful entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, CEOs, people that are doing great things. They're building businesses and they're making a big impact for themselves, but also for a lot of other people. And so we'll introduce you to our guest in just a moment. This episode is brought to you by Performance Publishing. Performance Publishing provides done-for-you publishing services for soon-to-be authors. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or if you realize the benefit of a book, that your book is your business card, then go over to performancepublishinggroup.com, grab a free strategy call, find out if writing a book is your next best step in terms of building your business, your platform, or just your personal brand. Again, performancepublishinggroup.com. All right, let me introduce you to Christian Ray Flores. He is an international recording artist, entrepreneur, and life coach with a captivating story that spans 4 continents and multiple cultures. From being a child refugee in Chile at the age of 5 to witnessing the fall of the Soviet Union in Russia and the civil war in Mozambique. Help me out here.
Mozambique.
It's late in the day. I'm having a little brain fart there. My apologies.
It's okay.
But his life experiences have shaped him into an extraordinary leader and communicator. He is based in Austin, Texas, a fellow Texan with me, and Christian enjoys life with his wife and business partner, Deb, and adult daughters, Diana, Violet, and Isabella. He is the co-founder of Third Drive Media, an award-winning marketing and venture development company, and the nonprofit Ascend Mission Fund, doing important work in Ukraine and Mozambique. Additionally, Christian offers his expertise through Exponential Life, a coaching program designed for high achievers seeking lifelong integrated success, and hosts the engaging video newsletter, channel, and podcast Headspace by Christian Ray Flores. Christian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm super excited to talk to you. I know we kind of met through some social media and just, getting to know each other. And I just love there's a couple things I want to talk about. First, I love the title Exponential Life. I think that is such a cool, not just title, but also the way you spelled it, which I feel obligated to spell. If you want to check out his website, it's XPONENTIAL. That's exponential with an X.life. But tell us a little bit about that and what kind of coaching you're doing for these high achievers.
So thank you for asking. Basically, what I'm really passionate about is helping people like myself, people who are driven, wanting to make a difference, wanting to have impact, realize that sometimes we hit some ceilings, and it has to do with not with like a profound flaw in us, but really times change, we change, circumstances change, and we get stuck, right? And we get stuck in these cycles of anxiety, burnout, and that's basically a signal that we're stuck. And it's just a signal. And all you have to do is figure out exactly how to break those cycles. And you can fly higher and go further than you ever thought possible. And I've seen it happen with me because I hit a couple of those in my lifetime. And I've seen it happen with multiple, many leaders. It could be athletes, entrepreneurs, business people, artists, things like that. And it's remarkable how replicable this process is, how simple it is, and how anybody can do it. So that's basically the idea. The idea of Exponential Life is one of you can lead a life that is exponentially more impactful, happier, more fulfilling, and helps more people, which is what most of us want to do, right?
That's why I wanted to talk to you, because that's exactly this audience. And that's exactly, why I even got started with my own business back in 2009, is that I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. And so many people that we work with, either as authors or in coaching or whatever, is they have this heart to serve. They want to build something and maybe get some traction and then hit a plateau. And so getting stuck, I think a lot of people can resonate with. I know I can. I've had many, many, many seasons of being stuck. But let me ask you, why do you think people like us get stuck? Like, what do you think is really the ultimate? What's underneath that? It's not that we're too busy because we're all the same amount of time. What do you think it is?
I would say this, because we are passionate, right? Because we want to make a difference and we're talented and we're driven. We essentially, what we do is we default towards the things that bring us quicker success, more results, more money, more promotions, and that is work. Work is the thing that drives us because it's a shorter arch of performance and achievement, right? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what happens at the same time is that we have an arch of character. We have an arch of family. We have an arch of social life, family life. We have an arch of learning, of spiritual development. All those arches are much longer. Yeah. It's not like you can sort of hustle your way into having a grown-up kid who is awesome. It doesn't work that way, right? But you can hustle your way into being promoted into vice president in 5 years, for example. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's a great analogy, actually.
So absolutely. So, and it's the same. And what happens is we double down on achievement over and over and over again, and then we ignore other parts of us that are actually responsible for that achievement for the long run, right? So what happens is our outer game outruns our inner game. Mm-hmm. And in the short run, the outer game matters because you can get there faster, right? So you can just put your head down, have 60, 80 hour, work weeks, mm-hmm. and you'll outwork everybody and you will advance, right? And you can have impact. Your inner game starts lagging. And mm-hmm. then eventually your inner game slows down your outer game. And then the thing that you wanted to achieve most starts suffering because you don't have the ability to sustain long-term growth. You don't have the ability to overcome obstacles. You become fragile. Your grit goes down. Your creativity goes down, right? Your ability to connect dots and find patterns that other people don't see, that goes down. All of those things that actually give you advantage in the long run, they start getting smaller and smaller and smaller because your inner game is the ultimate thing that gives you success in the long run.
That actually makes perfect sense. And I can so relate right this minute because we've been working on the last several weeks, we're about to launch a course and a cohort and all of these things, and so it is all about the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Driving us, and it's super exciting and super passionate about it. But over time, you're right. When you just consistently working and achieving, you burn out or you lose mm-hmm. That passion a little bit. So what's the answer? Like how does somebody?
Well, I think that what happens is if you find yourself in a place like this, you are now working, your biology start dictating your future. And your biology is very interesting because your thoughts are always about the urgent, mm-hmm. right? Your thoughts are always about the emails you have unanswered, the tasks that you need to do, the project management stuff, the staff person or the staff people that you need to coordinate, the deadline for this, the deadline for that. So you essentially wake up and what do you think of? You think all of those things, right? So your thoughts are interesting because your thoughts are neurologically connected into system. It's like a microchip, right? So over time, your thoughts, when you wake up, you look at your phone, that's associated with something, right? It's associated with I can't get this done, or it's associated with my staff is just not there, right? Or it's associated with, I'm running out of money, or I lost a client. So it's all patterns that that's how our brains work because we're 90% of what we do is on autopilot. So our brain starts replicating sort of feelings from the past, right? Mm-hmm. That causes you to have an emotional reaction. Your emotional reaction is stress, anxiety, and other things. It could be anger, it could be frustration, it could be all kinds of things. Now, your emotional reaction now dictates your present actions. So you start basically living today, this week, fueled by things from the past. And then you're stuck in the past and you're replicating the future that is basically just like the past that you dread.
Mm. Wow.
So you're neurologically incapable of building a new future that way.
So is it a matter of just reprogramming or?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically developing practices that, and there's a slew of tools that we use in Exponential that are there to help you calm down your brain, your mind, and your heart. And your heart is like the emotional center of you, right?
Yeah.
To de-stress, because because think about it, your emotions are flooding your system with stress hormones. So you're biochemically impeded from being creative, right? Think about it, right?
Yeah.
So when you calm down your heart and your mind and you develop systems and habits and lifestyle changes that support that, your biochemistry, your brain chemistry, all of that changes to a different set of chemicals, a set of circuits, right? That are there firing up new circuits, new microchips. And the new microchips are innovation, creativity, breakthroughs. How do you build the future? And you see that future in your imagination first. It goes from your mind, goes to, same way, goes to your emotions. So you're excited, you're motivated, you're not burned out. It goes to your action. So your actions, your day, your hours, and your days and your weeks are now building a different future then, and not just replicating the past. So you're escaping that trap, basically. And so that's why with the program, what we do is we do 4 shifts. We calm the mind and the heart and develop skills to do that. You have to be able to process obstacles, rejection, right? Bad news, an email that you dread, a customer that you didn't get, a customer that you lost, an investor that you didn't get. If you're going to do anything great in life, you're going to get a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And the question is, what do you do with that? And I think, for example, for me, I would say, let's say a range of bad news that are a trigger, a bad event, and something big, like, something significant. A trigger, I can get over that in minutes because of the skills that I have. And I can teach you how to do that. Minutes.
Wow.
And for some people, a trigger will cause you to spin off into a stupor for days.
Yeah.
Something more significant, I can probably get out of that in less than a day. In just a few hours, I'll get over it, and I'm back into creative, constructive mode, into not reacting but acting, right? Proactive mode. Something significant, it could take me maybe 2 or 3 days to process and wind down. But imagine what that does. Amplify that into months and years of productive work. And bad news come with anything you want to build that is good in life. Anything. I don't care what it is. A book, a film, a new career path, all of it comes with obstacles and resistance. So if you're able to manage stress, not manage, but govern stress, dominate stress, that is a superpower. And I think that's the first superpower. Then you have to understand, okay, how does life work exactly, right? What's the dimensionality of life where I can invest in that so you can have my inner game matches my outer game, right? And there's a lot of science around it, right? So we have a thing we call the exponential life radar, which is 7 dimensions that we track ongoing. And we talk about, we evaluate ourselves first and we go, okay, between 1 and a 5 in each dimension, how are we? And then we start seeing visually, wow, we have a flat side over here. No wonder I'm, burnt out and I'm stressed, but once you see it, then you can fix it, right? Because you can put your finger on it, you can put your intention into it, and your passion, your energy goes into that. And over time, what happens is that wheel, the seven dimensions, starts getting wider and rounder. So if you're on average between a 4 and a 5 on all 7 dimensions of life, watch out.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of amazing stuff in life. You really will. And you're going to overcome obstacles better. You can recuperate from bad news better. You can tackle more for longer, and you can be an anti-fragile person, right?
Good.
So that's sort of, I think, and then the next sort of shift is basically designing based on now a de-stressed, calm heart and mind, a recalibrated inner game. Now you can design a future. And the things that come into mind when you're in that state, a creative state, it's a very different future, right? So you can create bigger, better things, have more impact, help more people in more places that way.
That is so awesome. So how did you get into this? Like what made you want to help people in this and what's the
as, you can,
backstory?
as you can probably imagine, is like I hit a wall pretty early. That's exactly what it was. So basically, my the way it was, well, I think it was early childhood, really rough early childhood. That was one probably thing that became, you sort of grow up and mature quicker when you're a refugee at age 5 and
Oh,
change 4 different countries by age 7, and you have to adapt to cultures and body language and languages and just everything. And you're like, I was an outsider everywhere I've been, right? So you develop some muscles and some abilities, right, to flexibility and over the sort of some grit over this. So that was one, I think, layer of it that allowed me to go, oh, I can develop skills to get to overcome obstacles and to deal with rough times and limitations, and even some relational drama, things like that. But I think for me, the big shift happened with an early success professionally, right? So I got a master's degree in economics. I was a musician at the same time, and I was like, you know what? I'm young enough. I can live in a shoebox. I can try. And this was in Eastern Europe at the time. I grew up in basically Russia, Ukraine, Chile, Germany, Africa. So like there's this international pattern, right? 3 different continents. And I started doing music in the early 90s, and I became successful in a year. And I was going from small venues to bigger venues to sports arenas,
wow.
TV, MTV, radio, magazines. Millions of people knew who I was. Millions of people knew my songs that I wrote, and so that kind of meteoric rise, it also exposes a lot of cracks. So I had really good outer game, right? Clearly, but my inner game did not match my outer game, not even close. So I reached this insane sort of peak of dissonance between my outer game and my inner game. So then that starts shutting down creativity, which is the first thing that brought me there in the first place. It starts shutting down. It starts causing self-sabotage and anxiety and stress and all this. So you shrink and you go into sort of this survival mode. You're not thriving, you're surviving. And you won't last for long if you're surviving and not thriving, right? So that basically was sort of my first ceiling that I hit, and I was like 26, right? So people usually hit that ceiling when they're like 40 or 45 or whatever, So I hit my midlife crisis by age 26, which was a blessing in disguise. It was sort of miserable, but it was a blessing because I just thought, I got to fix this. I don't know how to live, right? So I went into overdrive into how to learn those things, and I just found this guy. So I became, I developed a spiritual life that helped me a lot. I became a Christian. And there was this guy, this pastor, who became my coach, essentially, right? And the reason I differentiate between pastor and coach is that a pastor will give you advice every once in a while, will sit down, read the Bible, give you some wisdom. I latched onto this guy, and I basically said, teach me how to live. I'll do anything. That's a whole different level of engagement, right? So I was super coachable. And I basically just latched on. And a big pain point of mine was that I didn't know how to do romance, because I was traumatized by my parents' divorce, and I had all this attention of women at the time, and that messes with your head. Like that's just not normal, right? And also because it's fake and it's artificial. Because celebrities, people are not in love with you. They're in love with the persona, not the person, and that messes with your head. So that layer, like all these layers, really, it just threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to do with that, and I didn't have any good examples of healthy, flourishing marriages around me. Everybody around me was sort of messed up in the same way. So when I saw this pastor, and he had an amazing marriage, and I said, teach me how to do this, and he goes, I'll teach you. And he did. And so that gave me a lot of faith into into the weaknesses and blind spots that we develop as high achievers. I think most of us are actually partially driven by trauma. And,
Mm.
like, I've never met one high achiever who didn't have some major drama in life, like, I'm sure there exists somewhere, but I haven't met one yet. Right. And I think what happens is the achievement masks the weakness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what happens is if you don't deal with the weakness, it doesn't go away. Right? It starts following you around. It's like this invisible weight around your ankles, and you can't fly. You can't take flight because you're not dealing with it. And for me, what it was, I sort of intuitively said, I have a major flaw. I don't know how to do marriage or anything. It's not even a weakness. It's a blind spot. And the reason I differentiate weakness from blind spot is that a blind spot is a weakness that is unattended for long enough. You don't
Yeah.
pay attention to it, right? And then it becomes a weakness where you're sort of aware that this is not your strong suit, to a blind spot where you don't even know where to start to fix it. And that's where I was at with romance and marriage and family, is that I literally had no instincts, no framework to do it. And I just said, I'm flying blind here. I'm going to rely on you. Can you coach me? Can you build me up from the ground up?
Wow.
And because I think I was willing to accept this kind of coaching with humility,
Mhm.
I literally turned a not only a weakness but a blind spot into a strong suit. And I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, I'm a media person, I'm a coach. I'm a much better husband than I am all of those things.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
How incredibly blessed are you to have had the connection with that pastor to help you?
Yes.
And
Very much.
and to add that you had the willingness to learn, because here's the thing, there's plenty of people out there who can help us, but until we're ready, you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
it doesn't matter. So that is incredible. What a great story. Not so great in what happened, but I think I do agree, though. I think sometimes we have to either hit rock bottom or go through something really, really difficult
Yeah.
to come out of it. Something you said really interesting. I never really thought of it that way, that most high achievers have some sort of a trauma. I always say that most of us who want to, do big things and make an impact, it's usually because, there is something inside, but it's usually like an imposter syndrome or something holding us back.
Hmm.
But never really thought of it as like a trauma. And, you know, in publishing books, I will tell you, we've dealt with a lot of trauma, and it comes in every different form. Your trauma could be so different from my trauma,
Yeah.
but we still define it as trauma. So that's
Hmm.
really interesting. I never thought of it
And
that
I
way.
think imposter syndrome is part of it as well.
Yeah,
It's a almost like a signal of trauma, right?
yeah. Like that,
Something
I'm
from
not good enough, but where does that
exactly.
come from?
Yeah, like I'm coaching a gentleman right now who is in finance and commercial real estate, and literally a conversation I had 2-3 days ago, a coaching conversation, and he basically says, I'm getting um all of this money coming my way, and it's messing with me. I feel
Hmm,
shame.
interesting.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm not worthy, and so that's, you know what I'm saying. So but it comes from something, so we're digging around about, around his spiritual dimensions, his relationship with his parents, that sort of thing. What
Mm.
made him believe, what imprinted that I'm not worthy part, right?
It's just amazing how our minds work. We do, when I do workshops for authors, that's they come to this workshop that it's called Book Bound, and they come to this workshop. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this and that. But the very first thing we do is we take a look at their mindset and their belief
Yeah.
more than anything, because until they believe that they have the ability to do this, or that they're worthy to do this, or that they have a story to tell, doesn't matter what they learn. But of course, if you say that, nobody's going to come to an event that says, like, we're going to dig into
Yeah,
your core
exactly.
beliefs, what's really holding you back. No, nobody wants that. They just want the result.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
so I love that what you're doing, and I think there's a lot of goodness to that. We all know we could do more. So to
Absolutely.
uncover
Absolutely.
what's holding us back is so critical. That's super cool.
Hmm.
All right, so
Yeah.
that's exponential dot life. And I know we're running short on time, but I really want to talk about Third Drive Media, because obviously you have a passion for entrepreneurs and business owners and all that, because you created this fractional marketing company for businesses like this. Let's tell us a little bit more about that.
So I think, well, it's just it's my in my wheelhouse of skills, right? So obviously, when you are in show business, you develop the ability to communicate, to move, to understand culture, and then to use media for that. So it went from that. I had a production company in Hollywood that did music videos and music with Hollywood producers. And then when we moved to Austin, I started this marketing company called Third Drive Media. And the idea is basically that the niche that we wanted to target, and we feel sort of also called to do it because we love founders and entrepreneurs. I'm one. I just love, these are the founders and entrepreneurs are my heroes because in the 21st century, though they are the explorers, right? They're the ones who go, like in the 1500s, these are the people that would be getting on ships and going to Asia and America into these unknown lands. And they'll be like kissing goodbye, kissing their families goodbye, say, I might not see you and might not return, but I'm driven to do this thing, right? So in the 21st century, that looks like I'm going to start a business. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to shift careers. I'm going to start something amazing and I'm going to impact the world. I just love people like that. And what happens is when you start a journey like this is that you have to obviously communicate, build platforms, stand out in a very crowded, noisy world. And marketing and media are very important in that. And when you're starting off, you just usually don't have the funds for a big staff. And you might have most founders do everything themselves. That's like the first step. Then you have a small team. And then the first small team, you have like a CMO, right? A senior marketing officer. And that CMO physically can't do, or skill set can't do 3 or 4 things that are required. So we come in as a fractional marketing team and we say, okay, Mr. CMO or Mr. Founder, let's see what we can do. And then it's going to cost you less than a full-time person, for example, right? Which is amazing for them to have 3 or 4 or 5 people who have skills who will cost them less than a full-time person. So it's a huge advantage. And that's basically the niche. These are the people that we serve. This is the kind of value we would bring.
Is there a particular area that you focus mostly on when it comes to because marketing is such a broad,
right?
Kind of what are the?
We don't do. I think a lot of it has to do with people that have personal brands. That's one.
Okay,
that's a natural thing because that's what I do for me as well. So personal brands, authors, coaches, speakers, people like that. That's fairly straightforward. We do tech startups quite a bit. It's and because we also do on the other side of the business, we do a lot of consulting for startups who want to raise capital, that sort of thing, help them tell the story, tell it from the standpoint of the audience, which is the investor. And a lot of times founders can say the value, but not communicate the value to the investor, which is the person who's supposed to give you the money. So you lose the investor that way, and then the third area, I think a lot of and we do everything in between as well, but that we focus on is nonprofit work. Yeah. And I'm a philanthropist. I love doing. We have a nonprofit called the Send Mission Fund. We do work in Mozambique. We do work in Ukraine. So I am a fan of people who want to help people. Yeah. So those are the 3 buckets, but we do other things as well. So it's not exclusive to that.
You said nonprofit, and I'm the same way. I love it. We've done several books for people that they're using the book to raise awareness for, for donors and, making it easy for them to see. We did one particular one comes to mind. She has a wonderful nonprofit in Kenya and needed, people to come partner, but hard to really articulate all the need without, So having a book to be like, read this story of this woman's lives that we changed has like made a huge difference in their nonprofit. And I just,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's all like I think you and I have a lot in common in that it's like, it's not about coaching. It's not about a marketing company. It's not about publishing, and it's not about like all the other things I do too. It's about the fact that helping people to make a difference and helping people to kind of discover who they already are and helping them to get it out there in a way that can help other people. I mean,
precisely. Yeah, absolutely.
What we're all trying to do. So
yeah.
So cool. Okay. Anything else? Well, 2 more questions actually. So who inspires you the most? Either an author or it could be a speaker or dead or alive, but who would you say has had the biggest impact on you to be
Ooh,
doing what you're doing today?
wow. It probably varies from week to week, honestly,
I know.
depending on depending on who I'm learning from through
Reading.
books or listening to podcasts. One that is sort of a constant is this psychologist. His name is Viktor Frankl.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's sorry, it's a little heavy, right? This is a
No,
guy who
the book.
survived Auschwitz and all of that. But he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and
I love that book.
my gosh, it's just it's always there. And I think part of it is because I've experienced personally, like I've literally seen a military coup in Chile, civil war in Mozambique, and the fall of the Soviet Union. So I've seen a lot of drama. We just went to Ukraine last September, to a war zone, right? So sort of this idea of meaning is such an important part for me, because it is the secret to longevity, I think, to perseverance and to winning long term.
Mhm.
We're meaning making machines. And I mean, it's actually part of my coaching program as well. Meaning is one of the macronutrients for a flourishing life. It's like you have to figure out the why behind what you do. So that's probably one of them. Man, I mean, I have
That's a good one. I think
it's
you
a very
picked a
good one.
really good one.
Yeah.
No, and I think that totally ties into what you were talking about, the inner game and the outer game. I mean,
Yeah,
the meaning is our inner game. And
absolutely.
when we're not consistent or not in alignment with what's happening on the outer, yeah, that's where you start to crack and crumble.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
oh,
I think the other one that is more, I think, practical and modern is James Clear.
mm,
And
okay.
the Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's read this book. But one of the things that I love, the whole idea of habits as is huge for me. It's huge in our coaching program, because 95% of what we do is autopilot, right? our it, our thoughts, our actions, even our feelings are on autopilot. This is just how we're built. So, and autopilot's a good thing. You can just take
Mm,
off your hands off the wheel and it flies you to the right place. Except for when the autopilot is taking you to the wrong place, you know. So James Clear has this amazing quote that I literally repeat almost every single time I have a coaching session with somebody: is that you don't rise to the height of your aspirations, you fall to the level of your habits, of your systems. And
mm,
basically, and that's actually true in business,
that's good.
right?
Wow.
Like the systems you have are going to determine your outcome and your success as an entrepreneur. But psychologically, mindset wise, you're an autopilot. Your how you think automatically what kind of feeling, association,
Mm,
reaction you assign to an event, right? An opportunity. All of those things are going to determine your outcomes.
yeah.
So if you are, for example, if you're filled with stress hormones from day to day to day, that's a system,
Mm,
and
wow.
that autopilot is going to take you to the wrong place. I guarantee you. That's the thing that gives you that ceiling that you don't know how to break through.
Right.
But you change your systems, right? And your stress hormones goes down. You have a peaceful heart and mind.
Mm,
Now you're in this creative, thriving place. Oh, everything changes. Like
yeah.
the opportunities that show up, the partnerships that show up, and some things are just flat out freaky.
Yeah.
Like where you go, okay, this is supernatural. I don't understand how that came together, but it happens, right? And I think it has to do with the systems that are internal systems, right? And the big part, like that's what I'm super passionate about, recreating, establishing systems that are now your autopilot is literally taking you to success, thriving, fulfillment without you thinking about it,
Mm,
without you making an effort.
autopilot going in the right direction.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the big thing for me. I just love that.
Mm,
And that's what we're built for, this as
yes.
human beings, you know?
Yes. Well, this is so awesome. One last quick question. So, the show is called The Power of Authority. And the reason it's called that is I wrote a book years ago called The Power of Authority, but it was a play on words. You can't spell authority without author. But
Ah,
you don't have to be an author to have authority. Authority is just the ability for other people to want to listen to what you have to say.
that's
So
right.
what is working? What is working for you, whether it be in the Third Drive Media or the coaching business, that's helping you to continue to build your authority, which is in turn building your business and helping more people?
You know, That's actually a good question. And it actually ties into the whole systems thing, right?
Okay.
Like if you are, for example, for me, I have multiple things that I do. I'm trying to focus better, right? That's sort of my weakness. I don't focus very well. I have like professional ADD. Is that
Every
when you,
entrepreneur does.
I think so. I think most of us do, right? But for me, for example, look, if the urgent is driving the ship, right? Is you are essentially a slave to the urgency, to the survival, to the stress hormones, all of that. You're not going to establish authority because you're always putting out fires. You're always getting things done. You're checking things in your long list of things to do.
Right.
And then the treasure that's hidden in you, which is your experiences, your expertise, your unique signature moves and value that you bring to the world, are dormant and not communicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have authority, you have to make space to create, to write a book, to author a podcast, the things that we're doing right now, right? I could be head down focused on solving a problem or driving sales or closing deals right now, but I'm here with you, talking to you, because I want to share my story, and you are making time to create an authority around your expertise, right? And tapping into the expertise of other people. You're creating authority that way. So you and I have a calmer mind and a calmer heart.
Yeah.
We understand that this is important. This is not urgent, but it's important. So we make space for it mentally, in time, in schedule, in effort. And we create these things over and over and over again. And over time, that builds authority, because these are all mosaic pieces of value that are floating around the internet now. And then Michelle is now an expert in this. She's seen it all. She's seen the pitfalls. She's seen the mistakes, and she will help you open up. She will help you mine for the treasure inside your busy life, the mosaic that is your life. And she'll help you shine and be an author, and then do the good that you wanted to do. And that's what you do for people, right? So it's the same thing for me, is that I have to make time. For me, this is important, what we're doing right now.
And we were created to create. So this form of we're in that image, so we're creating, but like, I am the happiest when I'm in this space. And yeah, there's a bazillion other things on my list of things to get done. But this is, I think, and that's actually a great message to end on, that just to be aware of what is, lighting your light and making you feel creative and in your best place, and gravitate more toward that and less of the urgent, like you said. So
yes, absolutely.
Good
100%.
stuff came out of this. And I know we're over time, but I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Well, I always try to do a great wrap up, but I have all of these notes, so there's so much here. But one of my favorite things that Christian said was, about entrepreneurs, because this show really is, I'm an entrepreneur. We're bringing on entrepreneurs. Many of you listening are entrepreneurs, and that we can be compared to explorers, and that visual of, getting on that boat or doing what you're going to do. We are driven by a dream. So I'll leave it with, what is your dream? What is truly driving you? Where are you stuck? And then spend some time following the tips that Christian shared on how to get unstuck, so we can all go live our best lives. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the Power of Authority Spotlight. If you are a successful founder, entrepreneur, business owner, or leader that's getting results and making a difference, and you'd like to be on this program, please visit performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast to apply. That's performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast. Also, if you got something out of this interview, please share this episode. Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend, or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show, and include the hashtag #ThePowerOfAuthoritySpotlight. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content, so make sure you don't miss any episodes by subscribing. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more?
go to our websites, performancepublishinggroup.com or michelleprince.com, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.